Welcome back to r/Neighbors from Hell, where people share stories about their crazy neighbors. And if you're new to my channel, please don't forget to subscribe to join our amazing community. And without any further ado, let's dive right into the stories. And the first one is titled, I Truly Have a Neighbor from Hell. I live on the second floor of a 2-flat since 2012. It is me, my husband and our 4 kids, teenager, preteen, toddler and baby. We have had 2 other neighbors come and go since then without any problems, and then in mid-2017 the neighbors from hell moved in. They were fine at first, but then the fight started. It was a cop and his girlfriend. He has a drinking problem, and every time they came home from the bar, he was drunk and he would scream horrendous names at her for hours on end. I would hear what would sound like him punching walls and slapping her. Then 2020 hit and the bars closed down, and that is when he turned his sights on me and my family. He bought a surround system and started blasting music so loud it sounded like it was in my apartment. I had finally had enough and told my husband to text him and tell him to turn it down. I had just come home from the hospital after having a baby, my kids were trying to sleep and it was 11:30 p.m. way past quiet hours. My husband texts him twice and the neighbor refuses to turn down the music, so I stomp 3 times with my foot and he turns the music off and I say, "It is 11:30 p.m. My kids are trying to sleep. Please turn the music down or I will have to call the police." Well, he did not like that and said, "I am the police and this is my house and I will do whatever I want." And that was it. I have spent the past year being harassed by this man and his girlfriend. They started making obscene gestures at my Ring doorbell. They would continue to blast movies and music all day and turn it off right before quiet time. Then they got some device that would make a constant knocking noise on the wall in the bedroom under where I sleep. I recorded everything and showed it to my landlord, but he refuses to do anything. My landlord is also a cop and the neighbor's supervisor at work. Well then, the evening of December 7th, 2020, I am in my kitchen with my kids. We had just finished taking pictures for our Christmas cards and decorating for Christmas. I was holding the baby and emptying the dishwasher when I hear my neighbor start yelling and cussing out his girlfriend. I look at my teenage daughter and we roll our eyes because we assume he is screaming at his girlfriend again. That is when he gets so loud and I actually got scared and I hear, "I hope you can hear me up there, you damn cow. I can hear you in the kitchen walking around. I know you can hear me." I had not spoken to this man since June 2020. I have avoided him and his girlfriend at all costs. What could I possibly have done to set him off like that? So I called the police. It was his shift, his friends and another one of his supervisors. As I am talking to the supervisor and attempting to explain the long story of harassment, the supervisor and 2 other police officers kept dismissing me. My neighbor kept coming out about 4 to 5 times to scream explicits at me and they had to keep telling him to go inside and stop. I looked at the supervisor and said, "At what point is he arrested for disorderly conduct and harassment? How many times does he get to keep coming out and screaming at me before you arrest him? I don't feel safe." The supervisor responded, "If you don't feel safe, then you need to take you and your kids and go somewhere else." I realized I would get no help. Now 6 months later I go outside to use the water spigot outside to hose off the sidewalks and clean up the yard a little bit. God knows my neighbors never do anything. When I look at the spigot, it has a lock on it and I cannot access the water. We also will use the water during the summer for a small kiddie pool 3 to 5 times during the season. I contact the landlord and ask who put the lock on and he responded, "The downstairs neighbor," and that I need to ask him to remove it. I am shocked. My husband and I have done a ton of free work on this apartment. We put in all new flooring, updated the bathroom with a new sink, new toilet, light fixture, mirror and hardware. We replaced all the 1980s appliances with brand new stainless steel. We replaced the vertical blind with faux wood blinds and we have poured tens of thousands of dollars into this apartment and my landlord does not even have the guts to tell the neighbor to stop harassing us. Anyway, we are moving to a new place in 2 to 3 weeks and I cannot wait. And guys, I'm wondering, have you ever had any neighbors that always got into loud arguments? And if so, have you ever confronted these neighbors in regards to these loud arguments, or have you just said nothing? Let us know how you dealt with this in the comments. Update to the cop neighbors story. I am finally free. I did it. I officially moved into my new place and away from my neighbors from hell. I had shared a little about the police officer and his dispatcher girlfriend in commenting on other posts. I lived in my 2 flats for almost 10 years. 4 years ago, the neighbors from hell moved in below us, 2 almost 50-year-olds with a drinking problem. The man was a police officer and I heard him scream, slap and call his girlfriend horrible names while they were both chronically drunk, and she has a couple of DUIs and he has actually hit my car but didn't tell me the next day because he was so hammered. Well, anyway, the pandemic happened and I had a baby during lockdown. My first night back from the hospital, he was blasting music so loud it was vibrating everything. Apparently they couldn't handle the bars being closed, so they tried to turn my home into a bar. It was 11:30 p.m. and after several attempts to kindly ask, he turns it off, 10 p.m. is quiet time, he then refused. My son was crying because he couldn't sleep. I stomped on the floor 3 times and said turn it down. Well, that was it. The neighbors decided to stop harassing each other and gang up on me. After several calls to the cops for harassment, from locking the water spigot outside, making obscene gestures at my Ring doorbell, screaming vulgar things up at me through the floor simply because I exist, I finally was able to find a new home and moved me and my kids to a safe place. Last night was our first night here. I feel safe for the first time in over a year. I'm in the middle of requesting an internal investigation on him and his supervisor because the times I called the police concerning his harassment and disorderly conduct, the police, his department, refused to do anything and told me if I didn't feel safe, then I needed to leave. I was furious and called them out. I said if he was a citizen then he would have been arrested. You are allowing him to get away with this behavior, which only emboldens him to harass me more. I finally called the deputy chief, who is also a crooked POS, who then also told me that if I don't feel safe, I should move. It's insane. I never thought I would feel unsafe because of the police. When I found out a police officer was moving in below me, I was excited and felt like it was a great way to feel safe, but instead I was left terrified and helpless. So now I found safety again. I hope all of you with neighbors from hell will also soon find some peace too. And guys, for me personally, I would say this is a semi-satisfying ending because on the one hand, I am happy that OP finally found a place where she can feel safe again. However, also on the other hand, that police dude kind of got away scot-free. That's how you say it, right? In addition, for me personally, I would probably think the same as the person in the story. If I would hear that a police officer would move in right below me, I would probably feel safer than before. Anyway, if you enjoy the stories about crazy neighbors and crazy tenants, please don't forget to like the video and maybe even post some star emojis in the comments if you want to support my channel. Thank you so much in advance. The next one is titled HOA tried to evict my pet pig. What would you do if an HOA tried to take a family member away from you? Well, I can tell you what I did. This family member is not a human, but that doesn't mean that we all love him and cannot live without him. My kids used him as a fluffy pillow, he rings the doorbell when he wants to go outside and he pouts when he feels ignored. Becca Brown says her pet Piggy, a 35-pound purebred potbelly pig, is a family asset who cuddles with her 4 children and loves to go for walks with Alfred and Lola, the family's miniature dachshunds. Her homeowners association says he is livestock and that keeping him violates the community rules. Both sides have hired attorneys. Piggy has become a beloved member of our family. Our 4 little girls would be devastated to lose their pet, Brown said. I just want to make sure that the kids don't get hurt around Christmas. Piggy has lived in the Star Lakes Homes Association for a little over a year. He comes when he's called and spins for treats. Before getting the pig, Brown said she checked with the county and learned that pot-bellied pigs are allowed as pets. They did their research and thought it would be okay. The Star Lake Homeowner Association found out about the new addition to the family a month later. The HOA said they would look into it. The family thought they were in the clear, but then in October, more than a year later, their HOA's attorney notified them, saying they would have to register the pig as an emotional support animal. The family didn't want that, they wanted Piggy to be recognized as a pet. We were shocked to get that request for documentation. Our defense was that he is a common household pet, just like our dogs, she said. In December, the family received another letter from the HOA's attorney, who said they had 7 days to get rid of Piggy after the 20-day warning period expired just after Christmas. HOA regulations say that swine and other animals are not customarily regarded as common household pets and are not allowed. When the association made the document, they were probably thinking of a 300-pound pig that will wallow in mud, said attorney Morgan Bentley. But if the case goes to litigation, that is what the court is going to have to figure out. Is a potbelly pig a farm animal or a pet? Bentley, who's been in practice for 26 years, said that many HOA regulations can often be outdated, especially as they relate to farm animals. Brown said she has a birth certificate to prove Piggy's purebred status and a letter from her veterinarian reinforcing that he is a pet and under her care. County officials said the impasse is a civil matter between the Browns and the HOA and that zoning regulations are separate from an HOA's rules. The code also says that purebred miniature pot-bellied pigs are not considered farm animals when they are not kept or raised for food or product and would therefore be viewed as a domestic animal, said Donna Thompson, zoning administrator. The county does not get involved in homeowner restrictions. The big picture, of course, is that an HOA can be more restrictive than county ordinances, said Bentley. Just because it is allowed under the county doesn't mean it will be allowed under the homeowner association. I don't know the word for it. It is awful. It is stressful, Brown said. It is upsetting that this is supposed to be a happy time of the year, not a time where you have to be worried about losing a member of your family. And yeah guys, as usual, that is just the fascinating, not necessarily positive thing about HOAs, simply that they go above and beyond even county ordinances, and sometimes it feels like they are even above the government, or at least they think so. In addition, I'm sort of curious. I know that some of my viewers have lived or are currently living in HOAs, and what would you do if the HOA decided out of the blue that your exotic pet maybe is not a real domestic animal and therefore has to be evicted, or simply you cannot keep the animal at home anymore? As the person in the story said, this is not just about an animal but a family member, which makes it even harder. Anyway guys, now let's read the update, the fortunate update to the pet pig story. Piggy can stay at home. The Browns family 1.5-year-old pig has been the subject of a lawsuit filed by his family to declare him a household pet so he can continue living in their subdivision. The rules of this subdivision forbid pets that are not common and not traditional. But now a district judge ruled that evidence is clear that this pig breed is considered a household pet and that they are not used for commercial purposes. He also said the dispute puts a spotlight on homeowners associations' restrictions and residents' property rights. I think we need to forget about this being about a pig for a moment and look at the broader issue of homeowner associations and residents. The judge said, homeowner associations are there on one hand to maintain a neighborhood in a particular way, but they also have responsibilities not to infringe too much on homeowners' use of their land the way they see fit. And by the way guys, in response to this statement, I can just say, God bless you. Truer words in regards to HOAs probably have never been spoken. Then Mark Rabe, or Rabe, I'm not sure, attorney for the association, argued in court on Monday that it wasn't necessary for an expert to determine what a common and traditional pet is. He said the association's regulation implies there is a critical mass of pig ownership that needs to be reached in order for the animal to be considered common. He noted that within the rules of the association, a majority of residents could amend the restrictions to include a pot-bellied pig, but that has not happened. This ruling marked the first time a Vietnamese pot-bellied pig has been recognized as a pet in court, but it also set a precedent to let homeowner associations know they cannot micromanage their residents. And ripe stars, if there would have been huge backlash in the community and neighbors complaining left and right about this pig, then maybe I could have understood the fuss about this whole situation. However, this is clearly not the case, and it just seems like a kind family pet that really hurts no one. I mean, if this family was housing brown bears or something, then maybe I could understand the trouble, but this just seems to be a cute little pot-bellied pig, which doesn't really cause trouble for anyone. Please let me know your thoughts about this story in the comments. And the next one is titled, Am I the a-hole for refusing to pay my HOA that hired a landscaping crew on my house without my permission? The lady that is the head of my HOA has always disliked our garden. We hire people that mow our lawn weekly and everything is clean. But my mom liked to plant things like tomatoes, cabbages and mint in the garden that doesn't quite fit well with the so-called aesthetic of the neighborhood where everyone has black mulch. My mom doesn't speak English, and before the pandemic, when we were out of the country, we didn't receive the letters that the HOA sent about our garden, and it ended up hiring a landscaping crew that killed all of our tomatoes and put mulch there instead. I checked the mail and realized it was us who didn't receive their letters, so we paid the company. We have been in the US ever since. While my mom gave up on tomatoes and cabbages, we still have a strain of mint that we planted, and it grew in our garden. In fact, plenty of people in the neighborhood come and pick some of our mints, after asking of course. I personally think it looks pretty since it is just green, and I didn't think they would have a problem with that. But they did. The HOA lady has my phone number, she has my email, she had emailed that address before, and my mom had given her the contact of one of her friends so he would be able to translate for her if the HOA lady needed anything. She never contacted any of us, and instead one day a landscaping crew just came in without our permission and again pulled out all of our mint. And now we got a bill for $2,000. When I emailed her about it, she told me that she thought we were not home, which is BS because our lights are literally on every day and our car goes in and out of the driveway daily. I've even said hello to her when passing by. She didn't even make one attempt to contact us, and she thought that since we paid the first landscaper, we agreed that she can hire people to do our garden. Am I the a-hole if I refuse to pay her? And a user in the comments said, not the a-hole, it seems the HOA did not notify you a second time and they should have. You mentioned that your mom doesn't speak English and being out of the country, is it possible the HOA is discriminating against you for being immigrants? Do they take advantage of other neighbors with violations being out of town and hiring contractors to work on their lawns? I would check the HOA meeting notes. There should be notes from meetings keeping a record of violations and what the response was. If you seem to be the only one this happens to, I would get some legal advice. And another user said, ex-HOA board member here, find your CC&Rs and rules and regulations and get an attorney. Depending on what your dues cover, you may have to keep paying them. Ask for a meeting with the whole board and the management company to explain all of this. The rest of the board may not know what is up. Also, depending on your state, the HOA may be able to lien your home and foreclose because there are actual physical costs and not just fines involved. And guys, I just could not resist to read this story, even though there is not a final update yet. However, so far it seems that OP indeed has to pay the HOA in this case, because from what I can tell, the risk of not paying probably could involve the HOA potentially foreclosing on OP's home or putting a lien on their home. In case there are any further developments, I will keep you updated of course, but for now, it seems at least to me that OP is probably gonna end up paying the HOA, unfortunately. And the next one is titled, Today I effed up by getting high, naked and nearly dying, then passing out on the floor and getting rescued by my disabled wheelchair-bound neighbor. I decided to paint the ceiling of my bathroom, and being the lazy guy that I am, I opted for spray paint as it is a very small surface. So I thought I was prepared. I opened all of the windows and front door, I will come back to this, turned my floor fan on full blast pointing at the window, put the dehumidifier on in the bathroom for extra dryness and ventilation, tied a t-shirt around my face, and got naked. I went in the bathroom and closed the door, then stood in the bath and then started spraying. I was about 2 to 3 minutes into spraying when I felt a bit lightheaded. So I stopped my work, stepped out of the bath and immediately went to my knees. My primal survival instinct kicked in, so I shuffled to the door and managed to get out while walking on my knees. As soon as I hit fresh air, my body betrayed me and everything just stopped. As I said before, I had opened my front door for ventilation and I live in a block of flats. My bathroom is about 4 feet from the front door. So I quickly lost consciousness and must have fallen face first halfway out of the bathroom into the hallway where the front door is. Cue me waking up to a cacophony of fire alarms screaming and my neighbor wearing nothing but underwear sitting in his wheelchair banging his fist on my front door because he could not get in with his wheels. I sat up completely naked, high as F, asking my neighbor why he was trying to break in while I was in the shower. After half a minute or so, I came around and slammed the door shut and got dressed, trying to get my bearings. I realized what happened then, made sure it would not happen again by sealing the fated room. I went to my neighbor and apologized. He grumbled something about sardines and countdown being on the wrong channel. So here I am, a bit shell-shocked to tell the story of my day or life. Edit, might move house or country. I don't believe how big this got. Thanks for the many upvotes and thanks for stopping by for a chat. And a bloody good laugh. If anyone wants updates on my progress, I can put them here. It is no extreme makeover, but as long as it does not look like a fire-damaged public toilet cubicle after a rave, I am happy. Back soon, folks. And guys, unfortunately, we have already reached the end of the video. However, if you cannot get enough of my content, I would suggest to check out my endless playlist, which you will now see linked on the screen, which will provide you thousands of hours of my awesome content. In addition, if you still cannot get enough, I would suggest to check out my Patreon at patreon.com/ripeyoutube, where you will not only find exclusive Reddit content, and for $3 a month you will get early access to all my daily videos and you will be included in the name list at the end of each video. However, please don't feel pressured into giving me money or anything. I am already incredibly grateful that you watch my videos daily. Thank you so much and I hope to see you again tomorrow.